Hey big fans, and welcome to the Brick Bakery, where all our jokes are half baked. I'm Jacob, and today it's time for a Let's Build. Today we're having a look at what I have recently discovered is probably the oldest set from my nostalgia Lego collection. This is the stuff that I owned since I was a child. This is the 661 Spirit of St. Louis, which is a set from 1976. It consists of 50 parts and no minifigs. Maybe you're wondering why I only recently realized that this would be the oldest set in my nostalgia Lego collection. My nostalgia collection is the stuff I had since my childhood. And that's because I remember getting this one at a museum in the 1990s. I went to a museum with my dad back in the 90s, which was in Billund. And Billund is the same town as Legoland and the Lego factory. So obviously I've always thought of this as some kind of exclusive that was produced for that museum, but it isn't. This is the Spirit of St. Louis, which is a model of Charles Lindbergh's plane that he used to cross the Atlantic. And for some reason, that museum had this very plane standing around for something like 20 or 25 years. And then my dad bought it for me in the middle of the 90s, and I went home and built it. So that's why this is probably the oldest set in my nostalgia Lego collection. But without any further ado, let's build this Spirit of St. Louis. First up is of course the manual, and it is very different from what I usually see. I like this gradient blue right here, this background, and the sort of endless white down here does look very, very beautiful. It's a great photography. A little weird that it's sort of split in two, but maybe that's because when you do like this, you can see the whole plane and you can see the number up here. I do like this font as well. The inside is, as you can imagine, just your regular spot the difference guide for this set, but the back is actually very, very interesting. There's a bunch of great sets here. I remember finding this one in a haul not too long ago. You can find that video right up here. And of course other great sets, a horse carriage truck, couple of boats, container ship and police station, a rescue helicopter, and a very cool construction set. We see some of those old minifigures right here. I don't think there is any of the newer ones. No, it's all before they actually introduced the regular minifigs that we know and love today. But without further ado, let's get back into building this little plane. I've been struggling a bit with these instructions here because, as you can see, there's a lot of changes from every step to the every other step. This is just ridiculous. Look at all the stuff that changes here. All this and this. It's amazing, and it's really a great illustration of how well the newer manuals are constructed. Imagine if you had to build the whole Ninjago city, for instance, based on instructions like this. It would be horrendous. Luckily, everything is much better now. This tells you everything about the age of this set. Look, now I have to attach these 1x2 bricks right here, but of course when I press down here, this happens. It's not very easy, is it? So I think another sequence of this would have been great. But yeah, that's what we had to contend with back then. So here we got the Spirit of St. Louis, the plane that brought Charles Lindbergh all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. The 661 Spirit of St. Louis. When I first realized that this Lego set was produced back in 1976, I thought this would be some kind of reproduction, but I have not been able to find any documentation about any reproductions ever having been done. So this should be the original model. When I first realized that the original model 661 was produced in 1976, I thought my model must be some kind of reproduction. But I haven't been able to find any kind of documentation that states that there was any kind of reproduction of the 661 at any point. In fact, it does seem that there is very little information about this plane. When I go to Wikipedia, the only thing that it says is 661 Spirit of St. Louis is a Legoland Airport set that was released in 1976. It includes a yellow and blue brick-built plane. It contains 50 pieces in all. And then it says 661 Spirit of St. Louis was only released in Europe, the UK, Australia and Canada. This set was also released as 456 Spirits of St. Louis in the United States. And that is actually all the information I have managed to find about this model. I don't know anything else about it. If you know something, please let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to hear everything about it, because I do think this is a little mysterious. And I am wondering why it had one number 661 in Europe, the UK, Australia and Canada, and another number 456 in the United States. That is kind of weird to me. If we go to Wikipedia, the real Spirit of St. Louis is described like this. The Spirit of St. Louis, formerly the Rhine NYP registration NX211, is the custom-built single-engine, single-seat, high-wing monoplane that was flown by Charles Lindbergh on May 20th to 21st in 1927 on the first solo non-stop transatlantic flight from Long Island, New York to Paris, France. So this is a model of that plane, and I do think this has a certain kind of model airplane quality to it. When I was building this set, I got a sense of trying to put together an old Airfix model or something like that. And maybe that's mostly because the model isn't in minifigure scale. It's actually a very simple build. Only two colors, even though it's stated that it's blue and yellow on Wikipedia. I believe that this is black, if my eyes aren't deceiving me. Most of it consists of very classic pieces, such as regular bricks right here, a lot of plates and bigger plates, and these inverted slopes right here. Of course, there's also this transparent brick right here, which acts like the window. One of the more characteristic parts of this plane is of course this tailpiece right here, which is really a classic. I don't remember having seen this in too many other planes, but I'm sure it has been used extensively. In front there's of course this little propeller, which I think a lot of people from the 70s, 80s and maybe all the way up through the 90s will remember from different Lego sets. This one doesn't run too well anymore, it just seems to stop very quickly. And by some kind of magic, the two stickers have managed to survive these years as they have been laying in my pile of bricks. I remember I transferred these stickers to another brick that I didn't use very much, so they wouldn't get damaged too badly, but it does seem that some dust has collected underneath both of them and they are not clean in any sense. But I could transfer them back, so it looks like this, which is okay by me. Remember, this is still from 1976, so this looks quite good, I think. What's also somewhat interesting about this model is that it must precede wing plates, because this is just 10 by 4 plates that's been put on top here. It would be good with some wing plates instead of these. It would have looked more realistic, I think, but I'm not sure realism was ever the thing that they went for in this kind of model. A detail that is worth taking a look at is of course the way that this wheels has been connected to the model. This is an old Technic pin, which is milky white, which is a color I think we don't get anymore. And these wheels are quite interesting considering their age. I'd say that these tires look pretty good. It does seem, however, that I haven't found the correct bricks for all of it. If you can see this brick right here, this little plate, this 1x2 plate, is actually some shades darker in its yellow. It should be the same yellow, but this is actually a little darker, which means it would be from another batch or something like that. Maybe it's newer, I don't know. But anyway, this is the model as it is supposed to look, and I think it looks kind of good. All in all, I must say that this set is pretty weird to me. It's not bad looking, it is what it is. It's from a time when this is what Lego sets look like. But I do think it's kind of weird to see a set that doesn't contain minifigures. Minifigures has become such an integral part of all Lego sets that it's very hard for me to really, I don't know, accept a model like this, because it does look very, very weird, as it can't really contain any minifigures in any sensible way. But then again, this is almost a prototypical Lego set in the sense that this is what Lego sets used to look like at some point. So it's not that I don't like it, it's just that I find it kind of weird, which is probably also why I don't remember having assembled this too many times, and I don't remember having played with it too much. But seeing it now, I do find this model very, very charming in all its simplicity. I do find the manual hard to read, I do think it is weird, but in all its simplicity, in all its elegance, this is an interesting set from 1976, and it honors the great Charles Lindbergh and his wonderful achievement. So that was the 661 Spirit of St. Louis, which is a set from 1976. Can you believe it? I still really can't believe that this set is part of my nostalgia collection. And that whole idea of me getting this 20 or 25 years after this was actually released seems kind of weird to me. But I did get it in the 90s, and I don't know why that museum still had these, but they did. It's a cool plane because it commemorates a very, very special occasion where Charles Lindbergh, he flew across the Atlantic Ocean for the first time non-stop. A very, very impressive feat, that's for sure. But that's all for me today. I hope you'll comment, like, and subscribe, and I hope we'll see you guys next Monday.